Okay, you're gonna need some white, and then this is 4-weight white worsted, and then I've got red. This is a 2-weight cotton. That's what I did the let me get her. That's what I did these little bows with. I'm gonna use a 5mm. So we're gonna make this flat, and then we're gonna sew the first part of it. And then, I don't know if you're with me with my Smurfette. We're going to do it the same way, just a bigger rendition of it. We're going to build it flat. We're going to sew it together. And then we're going to build the legs on. So, that's how I did it. So you're going to take your 5mm and you're... No, you're not going to do that. I am so used to doing that. You're going to chain 48. So you need a slip knot. That's my 48. You're going to double crochet 47 and chain 1. So starting in the first stitch you can get in, you're going to double crochet in every single stitch all the way back up, which will give you 47. So I've come to the end. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to single crochet 47, starting in this very first stitch. You want to keep your sides straight. So I know a lot of people, when you're holding it like this, can't see this stitch. So you go into this one. Now that's when you get wonky edges. You got to pull it back and get into this very first stitch. If you look at it this way, that's a stitch right there. So if you do that, you're going to have extremely straight edges. The same with when you get to the other side, which I'll show you. There's a stitch there that everybody misses, and then you're going to get crooked sides over there too. So single crochet all the way across. So I'm at the other end, and people generally go into this stitch and they think they're done. But if you turn it, there's another stitch right there. So if you can try to get into those two, this one and then the one at this side, then you should have straight edges both ways around. So anyway, I've come to the end of my single crochet row. I'm going to chain 2, I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to double crochet the next row. Again, pulling this back and seeing this first stitch. You don't have to do this alternating single crochet to double crochet. It's just better than a plain old ordinary pair of pantaloons. You know, it kind of gives it a different sort of a look. It's the only reason I chose to do it. You know, didn't want everything to look the same. And we're not doing this for the whole project, it's just the beginning. Once we get up further, we're just gonna do double crochets. Because for the most part, this is under a dress. really you only see the bottom that sticks out, unless you're undressing the doll. So when you come to the end of that row, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to do another row of single crochets. So chain 2. So from here, the next 7 rows is just going to be double crochet, chain 2, turn, double crochet in each stitch. So you're going to do that for 7 rows, and then we're going to do one more row of the single crochet. That's it. We're going to fasten off, and I will fasten off with a sewing tail, and then I'll meet back here and we'll sew it together, and then we'll add the leg pantaloon parts to it. So 7 rows double crochet. I'll put my screens up, but 7 rows double crochets, 1 row. So you got 8 rows to do together. One last row is single crochets. And I'll see you on the other side. So I'm just coming to the end of my single crochet for my final round. I'm going to leave enough to sew this together, which it doesn't have to be a lot. So first you want to hide this guy. So we're going to fold this in half. This seam is going to be down the side of her legs, or you can have it in the back of the pantaloons. You can put your seam wherever you want after. You'll just have to figure out what you want to do. So get your corners together, and then you're just going to go same way we do like a leg or an arm. You can do a whip stitch. You can also do this inside out and then turn it around. I don't feel it makes any difference in appearance, because it is just a whip stitch that you're doing. So I'm just coming to the end of mine. I'm just going to unfold it. That's what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to just have this down the side of her leg, so you're not even going to be able to notice it. So I'm going to just put one more stitch in up here, just to bring that top together. And I'm going to come across in the stitches that I've already made and then go through that loop and then make a knot. So I'm just going to weave in and out down this same seam. There, so that's what it's going to look like. So the part that you did, I cut that off after weaved it in. So the part where you were doing single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, so down here before you did all your doubles, that's the part that's going to be the bottom for your legs. That's what's going to show. So that's where we're going to build from. So put this on your doll. It's going to be so hard to show you on camera, but put your pantaloons on your doll. Put your seam where you want your seam. Put them up as high as you want them. It's all up to you how high you want them. And then you're gonna, they're too high. My needle and some thread. I'm gonna make a slip knot here, the end of my piece of yarn. You're gonna find your crotch area. You're gonna put a couple of stitches in there. No, this is not our legs, but when you do your first stitch, you're gonna go down through your slip knot that you just made, and then you can pull both ends really tight into a small knot. And then you're basically just gonna sew your crotch across till you get, you know, make sure you have enough room to get your leg in and out. You don't need to go through that many stitches, just the top 4, so you're still just doing a whip stitch. So that's probably good for me. I'm going to build my legs off of here. So I can take this off now. Set my doll aside. So I've got a generalized area of where my legs are going to be. Now whether the count's right or wrong or even or not, I have no idea, and I don't really want to concern myself with that, because I mean, if you just sewed both legs fit, your legs may not be exactly the same size because of the way you stuff them. I'm pretty confident mine are. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a knot. So that's my crotch all sewn up. I'm still going to tie a wee little double knot here. If you pull as tight as you can, you're going to make that into a tiny little knot that you're not going to be able to see. And then you can cut off as close as you can. So I'm going to build my legs off of this. Now, you may have an easier way to do pantaloons. You're going to reattach. So I'm just going to make a slip knot. Take it off. I'm going to go in here next to the crotch. I'm going to go into the stitch. I'm going to attach my yarn. I'm going to pull through. I'm going to pull through. And then I'm still going to put a double crochet in there. I'm going to weave in my end. I'm going to go 2 rows of double crochet before I make any scallops. So double crochet in each stitch around for 2 rows. I have no idea what the numbers are because I don't know where you sewed your crotch. Just making sure I'm getting into the right stitches. You're going to do the same thing for each leg, so we're going to come on to where we sewed together. I'm just going to skip that area, but I am going to pull tight so that you can't really tell that I skipped that little space. So I've got this stitch here. Now I've run out of stitches because this is the crotch of my leg. So I'm going to actually just come across here. I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to do my next round of double crochets in every stitch. Alright, so I'm at the end of my second row. I am going to go in to the top of that stitch. I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2. So now I'm going to make my scallops. That's just from where I weaved in that one and for when I attached. So I'm going to make my scallops for my pantaloons now. So I don't know if you've done scallops with me before. They're pretty easy peasy. I'm going to put a double crochet into this chain 2 space. I just did a chain 2, so I'm going to share that space right there. I'm going to go, let me undo. So I got 2 there. I'm going to do a single crochet in here. I'm going to immediately go into 3 double crochets in this next stitch. All 3 in that same space. You're going to skip one, and in this next one you're going to single crochet. The next stitch you're going to go into a 3 double crochets in that space. You're going to skip one and go into here and single crochet. Next space, 3 double crochets. Skip one, go into the next stitch and single crochet. Next stitch, 3 double crochets. Skip one, next stitch, single crochet. Next stitch, 3 double crochets. Skip one, next stitch, single crochet. Next stitch. Normally you'd put 3 double crochets. I'm going to put 1 because I did 2 over here. I'm going to go into that space. I'm going to slip stitch, so that gives me 3 double crochets for the end. And you can fasten off. So go ahead and make your second one. I'll put my screen up so you know what you're doing. And I will meet you back here and we can do the little bows. Okay, so you're going to need a 3mm hook. I don't know offhand what the letter is. I'll have to just put it on the screen. So I'm going to use my little cotton. So I'm going to make a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 13. You're going to double crochet, starting in the first stitch you can get into. You're going to double crochet 12 all the way back up. Number 12. So at this point you can fasten off. Leave a bit to wind. We're going to wind around, sew in type deal. So first let's hide this guy over here. So I'm just gonna scooch him along this way. Just try not to lose that shape. You can just snip him off. So, thread your other end. You are going to scooch along halfway. So you have 12 here, so you're going to scooch along 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that should take me right to the center of this. And you're just going to squeeze together and you're going to wrap. Now keep in mind, you got to sew this to your doll, so you don't have to wrap a whole lot. So wrap some, that'll be the middle of your bow. See, just like that. So take your, thread your needle again. Easier said than done on my end. There. So once you've got it wrapped, make sure that's pulled tight, and you're just gonna kinda, so it stays there nice and tight. Stick that through the loop. Just gonna make a nice tight knot in the back. Once your knot is in the back, then you can come along, go into your pantaloons, up through, down into your pantaloons. So try not to go into the doll, obviously. Doesn't take much to sew this on, but you also don't want kids to be, so I'm just going to come up into this side of the bow. You also don't want kids to be able to pull it off either, so I'm going to pull tight, go back down through, pull in nice and tight. So once you're satisfied, you can just come around, go through the loop, making a lovely knot that you're going to pull tight. And just for added security, I'm going to come through this way. I'm going to go through my loop, and I'm going to pull tight. And then you can just kind of weave in back and forth. I mean, nobody should really be looking at the bottom of this anyway. If they take it off, it's still nice and polite. It's not rude underneath there. It doesn't look horrible. So, and then you can just snip it off. It should not come loose, and then that's your bow. So I can go ahead and put my paws straight up, and you can make your other bow, and then we'll move on to the dress. Okay, so let's start the shirt. This is as close as I could get to the actual blue color. You can use any blue color, though. I don't think it matters. It's your doll. That's all I have, so I'm hoping that I have enough to make this shirt. This is not a worsted weight. This is just a regular 4-weight yarn. The needle I'm using, or the hook I'm using for this, is a 4mm, which I think is a G. So you're going to make a slip knot. We're going to make this shirt the easy way. So chain 41. That's 41. You're going to DC, you're going to double crochet 40. So that means you start in the first stitch that you can get into. Not the one, this is the, they refer to this as a stitch. I never refer to it as a stitch because it's not complete. So double crochet 40, back up. Sheesh. First hole's a doozy. So this is what it should look like. So when you come to the end here, this is where you're going to slip stitch into here. So there's a stitch underneath this curly part that we first did. And if you can manage to get into it, that's where you're going to slip stitch. Can't manage to, oh, close enough. So I'm going to slip stitch into wherever I just got into. No, that's not in the right spot. You want it to be up higher. Alright, I'm just going to slip stitch into the first stitch I can get into. So, pull tight and chain 2. So you're going to have a little bit of a slit, and that's perfectly fine because it's going to be going over the doll's head. You kind of want to slit there so it doesn't bust open. So you're going to put double crochet into the same stitch that you just put this chain to. This just cuts down on the seam that you may have. So we don't want a seam, so that's why we're going to do it. So you're going to do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. So you're going to increase in this row. So that's your 2 double crochets. The next stitch is going to get 1 double crochet. The next stitch is going to get 2. That's your increase. 2 double crochets in the same space. Next space is 1 double crochet. Next space is 2 double crochets. So repeat this all the way around. And I'll meet you on the other side. So I ended off with 1 single crochet or double crochet because I started with the 2 double crochets there. So I am just going to slip stitch to the top of that stitch. And I'm going to chain 2. So you should have 60 stitches around. You're going to put double crochet into that same chain 2 space that cuts down on your seam. And we're going to do another increase. So this one's going to be 1 double crochet in that stitch. Next stitch gets 1 double crochet. And the next stitch gets 2 double crochets. That's your increase. Oops. Sorry, that's my dog freaking out. Can you hear all that noise? So, 1. I don't know why I can't seem to keep in the hole. 1, 1, 2. That's your repeat. So I come to the end, 1, 1, and I can't do my 2 for my sequence, but I have my 2 over here. So it works out perfectly fine. So you just want to slip stitch to the top of that first stitch and chain 2. So put a double crochet into that same chain 2 space, just like normal. So we're going to double crochet 12, making the arm spaces now. That's my 12. I am going to chain 4. I'm going to skip 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And in the 17th stitch, I'm going to put a double crochet. Making sure I'm keeping it tight. And try not to do what I just did. That's one arm space. Excuse me. So now I'm going to double crochet 23. That counts as number 1. Oh no, it doesn't. No, sorry. I don't think I counted that as number 1. So that's 2. That's my 23. I'm going to chain 4. I'm going to skip 16. And in the 17th hole, I'm going to put a double crochet. That's my arm space number 2. I should have 10 stitches left. It doesn't look like I do, so I'm going to have to add some. Looks like I have 6. Plus this one. So I'm going to add some stitches here. I need to add 4 altogether. So you should have 10 double crochets to do. Not sure how I'm short so many, but you want to have even number from here to the back. So I had 23. I should have 23. Or 20. What did I have? 23? Anyway. So double crochet 10, then you can do your slip stitch and your chain 2. Slip stitch to the top of that first chain. Sorry, I'm off camera a little bit. Chain 2. So that's what it should look like. You've just made 2 armholes. So that's what you should have. And then here should be even. I'm off by 1 at the back, but that's no big deal. It's just a doll shirt. Now if this was a sweater for a kid, I'd have to probably fix that, but this is just a doll shirt. So I'll just put an extra one in the next row. So your next row is going to be double crochet until you get to this big space, which should be 12. Oh, sorry, first we're going to double crochet into the same space as our chain 2 because we don't want a seam that's that noticeable. Now you can double crochet 12 to that big arm space. So when you get to the big arm space, you're going to put 6 double crochets into the space. So you don't have to get it into the chains. You're just going to put 6 double crochets into that space. So I've got my 6. That's what it should look like. Then you're going to double crochet 13. Or sorry, 23, 13. So just crochet around to the other big space and do the exact same thing, and then finish crocheting around till you get to your where you started. Do your slip stitch, and I will meet you back here. So I've come back around. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. I'm going to chain 2. So now I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch around, starting with the one that goes in with the chain 2. So you should have 58 stitches at this point. So we're going to do another increase. So you can just slip stitch to the top of that first chain, chain 2, put your double crochet into your chain 2 space, and we can do, our next row is going to be 3 double crochets and an increase. So 3 double crochets over the course of 3 stitches. What is my problem today? And then 2 double crochets in the same space for your increase. So you can repeat this all the way around, and at the end you should have 72 stitches. And then we're gonna make our ruffles. That's my little shirt. Like I said, you don't have to put, if you keep going, then you can make it a dress too. But like I said, you don't have to put sleeves on. Yours can be sleeveless, but the Annabelle doll has sleeves. So I've got this much left. Hopefully I can do both sleeves with it. First, let's quickly just do the ruffles around the top. So you can just make a slip knot. We're just going to reattach. Oops. Screwed that up. Find your starting point. Put your little guy on there. So we're basically doing the same thing we did with the pantaloons. So you make a stitch, and then you can put your double crochet in there, weaving in this end. So that's 1 double crochet in there. So what you're going to do is 3 double crochets, skip 1 single crochet. So I have 2 stitches in there. So my first stitch I did and then this stitch, and I'm just leaving that like that. So we're gonna skip one. We're gonna single crochet into the next stitch, and then we're gonna start our 3 double crochets in the same space, weaving in this end. Skip one, go into your next one and single crochet, and then go immediately into the next one and do 3 double crochets. So that's going to be your repeat all the way around. I'm going to put it up on the screen and I'll meet you on the other side to show you what to do, since you can't really slip stitch. Skip one, single crochet. So we're going to start doing our armholes. So we're going to start down here at the bottom of the armpit where we did our 6 double crochets in there. So I just want you to insert in that space anywhere, and make a slip knot at the end of your yarn, and then you can attach just like we've been attaching everywhere. You're just going to come through and you're going to make a stitch. So we're going to start off immediately with a double crochet decrease. So after you've made your stitch here, you're going to yarn over, go into that same space you just made that little single crochet to attach with. You're going to come through 2 and you're going to stop. You're going to yarn over, you're going to pull 2 pieces of those over. You're going to go in between them. You're going to yarn over, you're going to come through 2, and then you're going to pull through all 3. So that's your first decrease. So you want to move the next 2 double crochets over. You want to yarn over, go into that space, pull through 2, stop, move the last 2 over, yarn over, go into that space, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. So it's an immediate decrease. So now you can double crochet starting in this larger space here. You get 2 large spaces. You're going to put your double crochets right into those large spaces right there. So double crochet 16. And now we're going to decrease 6 times, or 3 times again, sorry, 6 times. So yarn over, go into this stitch, pull through 2 and stop. Yarn over, go through your second stitch, pull through 2, and then pull through 3. That's our first decrease. Yarn over, go through this stitch, pull through 2 and stop. Yarn over, go through your second stitch, pull through 2, then pull through 3. That's our second decrease. One more decrease, yarn over, go into that big space, pull through 2 and stop, yarn over, go into this other space, pull through 2, pull through 3. And then you can slip stitch right into that first chain. So now you've just decreased your armhole, your armpit, chain 2. And you're going to do the same thing again. Double crochet 10. and then decrease 3 more times. And then you can slip stitch right in there. So that's the start of your sleeve. And now you can just put, you should have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 stitches. We made our arms 9 stitches around, so 16 stitches should be good enough for you. In the next 4 rows, you can just put 1 single crochet in those 16 stitches. Doesn't matter if you start in the same space or not. Doesn't really matter if you have a seam, it's just an armpit. So I'll meet you back here after you do your 4 rows, and then we'll do our ruffles, and then you're gonna be on your own to do this. You'll have to, I'll put my pause screens up, or you can rewind the video, whatever you want to watch or read. So 4 rows, I'll meet you back here. So I managed to get my shirt done with this much left. So that was pretty close. So put this on. So that's what it should look like. It should come down to the pantaloons. So I never did close up the back. You can put a button here if you want, but I don't mind it open at all. Easier to get it off the head and not have to worry about undoing a button. So see what I mean by the arms? Now that you've got yours on, the arms do stick out, which is why I didn't want to sew underneath them, because then it would really be out like that. So all right, it kind of seems like she needs a face, but let's move on to the dress. All right, for the dress, I used a 4.5 millimeter. Has no letter associated with it. So make a slip knot, and you're going to chain 51. So that's my 51. You're going to slip stitch into the first stitch you did, and you're going to chain 2. You're going to put three double crochets in the same space you just did your chain 2. We're instantly starting with ruffles. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm doing this weird. So you're gonna skip 2. So skip 2, and then the next one, so the third stitch, you're gonna put, sorry, you're gonna chain 2. Chain 2, skip 1, seem to get this done, and then in the next stitch you're going to put 3 double crochets. So you're going to just keep repeating that. Chain 2, skip 1, so I'm just going into that one piece of yarn, the top one. I'm not trying to get 2 in there. So we're going to be turning this around and working in the other direction. We're going to be turning this upside down is what we're going to be doing. You'll see. It's going to be weird, but I didn't want to reconnect or deconnect and then reconnect. I just wanted to keep going with the dress, so I chose to do it this way, which may seem weird. I don't know how other people make dresses. I should probably learn one of these days. So after you've done your 3 double crochet 10 times, this is what you should have. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to chain 30. You're going to skip 6 stitches, 2, 4, 6, and you're going to double crochet into the 7th. It's not easy when everything wants to turn and spin. And then you're going to go back to, you're going to do 10 more of these. 3 double crochets, chain 2, skip 1, three double crochets, chain 2, skip 1, so that's my 10. Chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, chain 30, now you're not going to be able to count 6, but I got 4 stitches. You can slip stitch. Once you slip stitch, get all my stuff together, you're going to chain 2. You're going to turn this over, and you're going to slip stitch, actually chain 3, might work easier, and you're going to slip stitch somewhere around here. You're going to slip stitch. All you're doing is changing the direction of where you're going to start crocheting. Chain 2. So now we're crocheting on the other side I've got your armholes. Now we're going to start doing the dress. So you're going to do 1 double crochet in each of these weird stitches. So they're on the other side of the first chain that we did. So they are going to be bizarre, and I have no count for you because you're just sticking them wherever you can stick them. If you got to create stitches, but if you grabbed when we first did our first round, if you grab just the top one piece of thread, you should have stitches all the way around that you can follow and get into. It's hard to hold, but it gets easier. So you can just keep doing this all the way around, and I'll meet you on the other side. So when you get to the space, your armhole, these 6 stitches that you missed, go into each of the stitches to create stitches. And after we finish the dress, we are going to stitch that together so it's tighter. So, but go into each of these stitches and try to just keep it tight. So I've done my 1DC, my 1 double crochet all the way around. In each stitch, I'm pretty sure I hit them all. You're gonna see this post, that's where you're going to slip stitch into. Pull tight, chain 2. So this is your armholes. This is the top of your dress. If you actually look at a picture of Annabelle, the whole top part of her dress is ruffled, so that's what we just did. So now, upside down, we're going to build her dress part of her dress. I'm getting stuck on a million things here. So we're going to do an increase. So after you chain 2, put 1 double crochet into that same stitch. Just because we don't really want much of a seam, and doing that, we'll cut down on a seam, whether you're making a sweater, a dress, a hat, or whatever. That's why we do that. So your next stitch, so that counts as 2 stitches. Your next stitch is going to be 1 double crochet. Your next stitch is going to be 2 double crochet in the same space. So that's your increase. So it's 1 double crochet increase. Next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets your increase. So 2 double crochets in that same space. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. So I've come back around, I've got 1 more stitch left, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet in there because I started with 2, and this is the one I ended off with, was 1. So you can just slip stitch to the top of that first chain, chain 2. You can put a double crochet into that chain 2 space. So that's 2 stitches. So your increase, your next increase round is going to be 2 double crochets and an increase. That's your increase. So your next stitch is going to get 1, next stitch is going to get 1, so that's your 2 double crochets. And then your next stitch gets 2 in the same space, that's your increase. So 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 all the way around. That's 1. That's 1. And then your increase is 2 in the same stitch. So I've come to the other end. I started with 2, I'm ending with 1, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain. I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to do 6 rows. So this is what you should have. This is what your dress should look like at this point. I'm going to do 6 rows of 1 DC in each stitch around. Every row I'm going to put the double crochet, the double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 2 for every single row. That cuts down on your seam. So for the next 6 rows, do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I will meet you back here when you're done. So, I got all my 6 rows done. So you can just fasten off with a long enough tail to weave in. So try not to go through to the other side. I'm just going to weave in. On this side, back and forth, different directions. Doesn't have to go far as long as it's. So I just kind of go all over the place. So if it does try to wiggle its way loose, it has to go in multiple directions to do so. So it's probably safe. Then you've got this one up here. Can't really go too far. That was kind of short. So this is what you should have. I don't know where my seam is, but it should be very difficult to see your seam. Oh, there it is. It's so light, but make sure that's at the back anyway. Get that out of the way. If you want to do our eyes, I'm gonna switch to my 3mm hook. So it doesn't matter what you make. We're gonna make a white and a black, and then we're gonna, here, I'm gonna show you. So there's white, and then the black. I sewed to the white, and then I sewed it all down. This is 2/8 cotton yarn. So I'm gonna start with the black. So you can make a magic ring however you want to make a magic ring. I don't know how you do it. But you want to put 6 single crochets into the center, I know black is hard to see. We're not here long anyway. So you can pull that tight. And then starting in the first stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet increase. So that's 1 single crochet. You can use the stitch marker, but you only put 6 stitches, so 1 single crochet and an increase. You're going to do that 3 times. And get into the next stitch. So your increase is 2 single crochets in that same stitch. So 1 single crochet and an increase. That's number 2. One single crochet and an increase. Is your final round. You can go right into the next stitch, slip stitch, pull tight, fasten off. So fasten off is enough to sew. Doesn't have to be long. You pull your middle shut. You can save this to sew, to help tie to the back of the white part of the eye that we're going to make. But make a knot so it doesn't keep slipping open. Not saying it's going to. Magic circles are probably pretty good for stuff like that, but so that's a pupil. So let's make our white part. Now you can go ahead and make another pupil. I'll put all this on the screen so you don't have to watch me do everything twice. So the white part is going to be a magic ring. Oh, what did I just do? Not sure what I just did there. Oh, that's what I did. My yarn kind of split. So you're going to put 10 single crochets. That's my 10. Pull your circle closed. And then same as black, you're going to put 1 single crochet and an increase. You're going to do that 5 times. It's just so small to use a stitch marker, so. One single crochet, 2 single crochets, that's 1 time. And an increase is 5 times. So that is it for that. Go into your next stitch, slip stitch, fasten off. You're gonna, okay, so you're going to sew, you're going to tie or sew this to this. I'm going to do both. I'm going to sew and then I'm going to come back around and tie a knot. So you're going to do that. You're going to use your white cord to sew the whole thing on after. So you're going to need enough for sewing. Okie dokie. Pull your middle closed. It doesn't matter if that pops open because you're going to have black over it. But tie a knot anyway. Just for added security. Just because that's how I roll. I'm going to leave that on there. Actually, I'm not going to leave that on there. I don't want to cut it too short because I don't want that knot to come undone. Put that right down the center. We're going to use this longer one to sew it. So because it's not attached to anything, it should go pretty quick and easy. Go down into the black and up through the black. Do fairly short stitches because you don't want this to be googly-eyed or anything. So once you come back around, you can just tie a knot at the back, a double knot. And then you know for certain that that black pupil is not coming off. Cut your strands off. Go ahead and make your second eye and then we'll sew it on. So I have my one eye. I think a little too high. I'm going to be using my other doll for reference. It's hard to say. Without hair or anything on, it's probably not going to be easy to judge where this should go. Keep in mind, you can still got to put eyebrows on it too. So, I'm going to lower it just a bit more. And put them a little closer together. Yeah, that's like from the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7-ish area. Put a nose and a mouth. Hair, eyebrows still gotta go on, so I think that's pretty good. So anyway, I'm gonna show you how I sew on one of the eyes and then I'll do the other eye myself. I've got one of these needles. I love these needles. So that is what I'm going to use to try to show you how I do invisible stitches. But it's very difficult to sew on camera, so bear with me. I gotta move my doll, my other doll. This is not an easy thing to do. I have to turn my eyes so I can get. So I'm gonna go down as close as I can to my eye. and I'm gonna go down into the doll and up into the white part of the eye. And I'm gonna pull. So I don't know if you noticed. Oh, no, because I'm not really showing you, am I? See, not hard, or not very easy to do. That stitch got sucked in underneath. So again, I'm gonna go down as close as I can to the eye. I'm gonna go into the doll. You don't have to go deep into the doll. And I'm gonna come up into the white part of the eye. So when I pull, you're not even going to be able to tell there's a stitch there. So that's how I'm going to sew mine on. And I'm going to get my other eye done, and I'll meet you back here. So I got my eyes all done. I sewed on everything else. So the mouth is sewn on, the nose is sewn on, the eyebrows. So I've got these chalk pencils. And this is what I use to draw out what I'm going to do. So I'm going to reposition my camera. I'll try to do this on camera, but I don't think I'm going to be able to show you, just because it's just going to be too awkward. But if you've got a chalk pencil, or you've got something you can draw on to do all your sewing, and if you know how to sew, I'll meet you back here and we'll see how you did. Alright, so let's move on to this wig cap. You're going to need a 5mm hook for this one. So, start with a magic ring and 8 single crochet. If you want to skip this, you can. I would suggest not to, considering the doll's white, the hair is red. It's just way too contrasting. So put 8 single crochets into this ring. I've lost my stitch marker under all this crap. Alright. So, starting in the next stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch, you're going to put your marker. Or you can just count to 16, whatever's easier for you. I'm just trying to show you both ways. I still count, actually. If you've done dolls with me before, you know I generally cook the hair. I'm not cooking this hair, by the way. This hair is just going to be raw. It's just Raggedy Ann, and her hair is just kind of bleh. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. And then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and repeat. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets all the way around, and at the end you should have 24 stitches. So because we started with single crochet 8, it goes up by 8, your numbers. So it's an easy way to learn. So your next stitch is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So So there's number 1 with your stitch marker, as usual. So the next one will get 1, so that's your 2 single crochets, 1, 2. Then your next stitch gets the increase. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, all the way around, and at the end you should have 32 stitches. So you know you did everything right if you end off of 2 at your marker, the increase. So for the next 2 rounds, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 32 stitches. So this is what you should have right now. You can just kind of flip this over. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochet and an increase. So this is number 1. 2, 3 single crochet, and then the next stitch gets the increase. So repeat this all the way around, and at the end you should have 40 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. It's 4 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So continue to do that all the way around, and at the end you should have 48 stitches. What should be our last row, we'll see if it fits our head. And I'll see you on the other side. So I am done mine. I've already checked and it fits fine on my head, so you're gonna have to check your head because you might have stuffed your head differently than I stuffed my head, but mine fits. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and do a slip stitch and fasten off. And you're going to want to do it with a sewing tail, obviously. You've got to sew this to the head. So, sorry, that's just my dog being neurotic. Just ignore him. I do. He is about the size of a horse. So go into your next stitch and pull that through. That kind of, once you pull it, kind of makes it look a little better over here. You don't have to worry about this guy. Not super important. Oh my gosh, I got so much crap on my craft table. I got my doll all tangled up in it. So, just above the eyes. I'm going to put your thing at the back, obviously, but so you're going to sew it on. I'm not going to be able to sew it on with you because this is how close I am to the camera right now, so I'm not going to have any room to sew it on. My wide angle lens isn't here yet, so shipping, everyone's behind in shipping during this pandemic. So stay in the red, don't go into here. Like don't try to do your invisible stitches into the white of the doll and then come up into the red. You want to stay in the red above your stitches here to sew it on. That's my suggestion. I'll see you when you're done. Okay, so I got all my wig cap sewn on. Take my pins out. So it's hard to show you what it looks like. Probably looks just like yours. I just put it just over the eyes. The hair's going to hang down, so when you're done, you can just go into it and pop out wherever. You can pop out into the red if you want. You don't need to pop out into the white. But it doesn't matter because you're just going to tie a knot and poke down. As usual. Well, that's my usual. I don't know if it's your usual. So the only thing left we have to do is the hair. And then it'll look more like a Raggedy Ann. So take that same color of red. So hair's nice and short. You're gonna need a big pair of scissors. So all I do is wrap it, because it's such short pieces of hair, I just wrap it around my 4 fingers a gajillion times. So I'll show you before I finish wrapping. So you're just going to take this, shove your scissors through, cut it, you can cut this again probably. I just trimmed her hair after. So that's it. And you're going to get little pieces like this. You can just toss those aside. So that's it. That's the hair. That's how we're going to do the hair. So then you just take each piece. I'll show you now. I'm not going to do all this on camera with you. So I use a latch hook. You can buy these at any store. It's got a little latch. It's for actually rug hooking. But I use this to put hair on my dolls. So if you have a latch hook, then that's great. It's going to be easy for you. If not, you're just going to have to use your hook. So put it on your latch hook. It has to be below the latch over here. So you're going to, let me zoom in. You're going to put it into the wig cap. You're going to push it through till the latch comes through on the other side. Take your 2 pieces. That's the latch right there. It has to be on the other side of your post. You're going to wrap your 2 pieces like that, and then you're going to pull through. And it ties a knot. It's hard to see because it's red on red, but it ties a little knot. You're just going to give it a little snug pull, and that's your hair. So that's how we're going to put our hair on. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you right back here after. Well guys, I got my face done, my hair all done. It's the best way I can show you other than the initial picture. Raise it up a little bit. Anyway, looks pretty close to my other one. That's just creepy. Anyway, thanks for joining me guys. I'll see you in the next video.